All right. Yeah, well, let's start with the minutes. Did anyone look over the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, I'm still moving my little boxes around. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. And thank you for getting those done, Stu. I appreciate it. Next regular meeting, again, a week early, December 15th. And then we'll be back to our regular fourth Wednesday after that. Other announcements. Does anyone have any announcements?
Yeah, I have something.
Go ahead, Larry.
I just wanted to share. I found out recently that the Ashland Parks Commission has put out an RFP for automating their irrigation systems for both Lithia Park and North Mountain Park. And it's actually a significant size project that I think will really benefit us in the area of water conservation. And as you know, I care a lot about that, but I just talked with Sean over at their office, who's sort of kind of riding herd on that. And it's a system similar to what some of us have gotten through the city of Ashland for our yards, but this is for massive hundreds of acres of park. And it has the potential to really fit into, future conservation efforts, because they will have the ability from one terminal, if let's say we had an event of a really extreme drought and we had curtailment, they could cut back irrigation across the board a certain percentage automatically without having to deploy separate personnel to each box, to each controller box. So it's a really, really exciting thing. I think it's about a $150,000 project. And I just wanted to let people know, I think it's a good thing that the parks are doing in the area of conservation.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Brian?
Well, I'd like to announce I'm resigning from the commission effective December 1st. I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, Marnie sent out an email to some of us asking us to really think about our ability to make meetings and our commitment and our future on this commission. And my thought has been for years that I'm really interested in climate policy, more so than education. And I think when our work on the SEEP 1.0 was done, I had hoped that somebody from the original SEEP would migrate to SEEP 2.0. And then as the Climate Policy Commission was made and the Conservation Commission got changed to the Conservation and Climate Outreach Commission, I think a better home for me in terms of my interests and skill set would be to try to be on the CPC. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I had some brief communication with Mayor Akins, and she advised me that to apply for that, I should first resign from the CCOC. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm submitting my application to be on the CPC. It's been 7 years that I've been on the Conservation Commission and CCOC, and I've been very happy to do that and work with you all. But I'm looking to have a different home for what I think are my best skill sets and what interests me the most. And I also did that with the knowledge from Marnie that we have 2 great applicants in the wings with only 1 current opening. So I felt that that would allow new energy to come into this commission.
Well, that's sad news for us. I know for myself, I feel just very honored to have worked with you all these years, and especially all the work that we did to even get the SEEP in place. So, I mean, all of your efforts are so appreciated. And having you in the CPC will be great because I think, you know, we've been trying to get the commissions to overlap and talk to each other and all of that. And I feel like actually that could really help us do that even better. So I'm excited for your role there. It sounds like a really
Yeah. And there's no guarantee I'll be on the CPC. That's at the discretion of the mayor.
Right.
So I would ask for your support, and I don't know if Tanya's on now, but Tanya's support also for that. I do think that that's a natural role that I could be good at, is bridging the two climate commissions. One void that currently leaves is that there's a new group that's been going for a few months, meeting about twice a month, that's working with the Transportation Commission, the CPC, and the Wildfire and Safety Commission to meet and try to see what commonalities we have and how we can support each other and move the seat forward. And somebody from the CCOC hopefully will move into that role that I've been doing. That'll need to occur. Lori Kaplan from the Ashland group of SOCAN has been coordinating that. And if somebody could take on that role from this commission, that would be fantastic. I don't think I'm technically in a position to do that anymore, not having a home on a commission until I'm appointed. If that is the pleasure of the mayor.
okay. Bex?
Yeah, I just want to say this is sad news, Brian, because I've really enjoyed working with you. Although from a personal perspective, I think our paths are going to cross through my work at SOU, regardless of whether you're in CPC or your other involvement in the community. So from that point of view, I'm happy I get to continue to work with you on that side of things. You're currently also vice chair, so it feels that we need to think about that for future meetings of voting in a new vice chair, and maybe that person could carry on with the role that you've had with coordinating the commissions.
And I think, thank you for saying that, Bex, and I don't think any of you will be able to get rid of me. Our paths will cross because I think we're all committed climate warriors and we all need to work together. Larry and I met today to talk about water issues, and that was very educational for me. And I look forward to continuing those types of things.
Great. Well, thank you, Brian. Yeah, I put later on the agenda that we can talk about the vice chair position. So, Risa?
Yeah, and I just wanted to thank you, Brian, for your years of service and commitment and on various topics, and especially you're going out with a great bang with your communication around the wastewater treatment plant and your communication in that very satisfying article that was in the newspaper, I think over the weekend. So thank you. And I know you're not going away. You're just going to be in a different spot. So look forward to working with you, you know, wearing your different hats that might get put on your head.
Yeah, thank you. I'm hoping this isn't an exiting move, but a lateral move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Larry and then James.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Brian, you know, you've been such a great asset for climate issues, and it was enjoyable to thank you for the, you know, the time and the opportunity today to share some things around water quality. And I just think it's great that you're so committed to the Ashland community and the Ashland and the regional environment. And we won't miss you because you're still here. And that's great.
Thanks.
James.
Hey, Brian, makes a great deal of sense that you would move over there. And I admire you for taking that initiative. I thought about it myself many times. Where do I fit best, or where could I fit best? And having worked with you and Marnie and others so hard over a 10-year period to get things going from 2000. I mean, people entered into the energy stream at different times. But, you know, we finally got something that could be, you know, has potential and is happening in a big way for Ashland. And I think you're moving over to the Policy Commission can really help bridge things that really needed to be bridged between the two commissions, because we do have a lot of overlapping interests. So I'm glad you're going to be over there, or hopefully we'll be over there. Sounds like there's probably not going to be an issue with you being over there. So look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Thanks, James, and it's been a pleasure to work with all of you. And again, it's not any guarantee that I get over there. I'm really hoping to, and any help anybody has with the mayor would be great from my perspective.
Yeah. Rita.
Should we write as a commission, might it be helpful, Stu, for the CCOC to do a rah-rah for Brian, or is that not necessary?
It's really up to the mayor, so I don't know whether the mayor would be swayed by that or not. So I don't know is the answer.
We probably should. I was going to as chair, but we can all sign in on, or I can just send it around and let anyone sign on that wants to, or we can vote and do it officially, but I'm not sure if that would be appropriate or not. Larry.
Yeah, I think that it would be helpful to the mayor to be explicit about why Brian would be an appropriate choice for the Climate Policy Commission, and the way it would help, interaction and understanding between the two commissions. I think that would have a lot of meaning for the mayor.
And I'd be happy to sign any letter saying that too.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, is that something we need to vote on? Sorry, I always have to ask. Do we need to vote on submitting an official letter from the commission in support of Brian being appointed to the CPC?
Never
Yeah.
hurts.
I think we do, yeah. So I propose that we write a letter to the mayor on behalf of Brian.
And we will empower Barney to quickly bang it out, and I trust what she writes, and maybe we should just vote on who wants to be a part of it, and then we're done.
I second that combined motion of Lisa and James.
And I will abstain.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion. Is there any discussion?
Could you please repeat the motion before you?
That's not fair.
You know, good, that's true. It was such a clear combination of the two.
I got most of it, but I want to check to make sure I got the right thing.
James, do you want to repeat the motion?
I propose that we write a letter as a commission for Brian to the mayor, and what Risa said.
Which was that I will
Which
write
is
the letter.
empowering, and we empower our chair to write it and submit it on our behalf.
And I second that.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Okay.
Abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. I will get on that. Okay, do we have any other announcements? Risa.
I was hoping that Anya would invite all of us to her event on Thursday at the high school. Could you just do a quick little ditty, please?
Yeah, I totally can. So it's actually Tuesday, the 23rd.
I knew that.
And we have been working on putting up the BIPOC celebration mural on the side of Ashton High School. And it's finally going to be completed. So this is going to be a dedication ceremony for it. And it is on the anniversary of Aiden Ellison's murder. So it's kind of an honor of him, an acknowledgement, and then just to celebrate the lives of all the BIPOC, like poets and writers who are on our murals. So it's just a community event. You can RSVP at truthtopowerclub.com. And yeah, we'd love to see you all there if you guys are able to make it.
And it's from 4:30 to 7:30.
Yes.
At where?
It's
school.
side of Ashland High School, so like right in front of the theater. We're gonna have the whole road blocked off.
Bex, did you have a question?
Just what time it was, but that got answered.
Oh, okay.
5:30?
4:30 to 7:30, front of Ashton High School on the 23rd.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay. So I believe, so we have 2 open seats. Oh, we did officially get the okay for Anya to be the official school district representative. So that's awesome. Which gives us 1 open seat, which was seat 9, and then Brian's open seat. And there are 2 candidates already up. And I don't know when the official vote will be. I had thought it would have already happened, but it hasn't yet. So we will check in on that again. And the 2 candidates for those seats, or the applicants, are Kate Kennedy and Caitlin Guthrie. Okay.
Can you say a paragraph about Caitlin Guthrie? I don't know her at all.
I don't know a paragraph about Caitlin Guthrie. Tanya mentioned that she seemed like a strong candidate. That's all I know.
Okay.
Does anyone else know?
If I'm not mistaken, I think she was appointed to the Climate Policy Commission last
Oh.
night.
Okay.
Maybe she put in for various.
Okay. In which case we would have an open seat. Okay, is there anyone lined up for a public forum today? No request for public forum, okay. And then we have today a presentation from Jim Hartman, and let's see, I think Jim's gonna have to be let in as a presenter. And he's going to talk about the Ashland Solar Cooperative. We'll have, I think, about 20 minutes for him to present, and then 10 minutes for questions. And here he comes.
All right, here I am.
Great.
Hi,
Nice to
everybody.
see you.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just watching you as a participant. It was kind of an unusual experience that you couldn't hear me, but anyway, it's great to be here. So I should just share my screen and go for it?
Yes. that
Okay,
would be
great. Let's see if this will work out. Okay. It's going to take a moment, I guess. Let's see for 1 second. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about the Ashland Solar Co-op and what we've been up to. I'm going to try to just talk for 20 minutes and then have 10 minutes of questions. So I'm going to set my timer going right now so I don't space out about that. So I guess I'll just introduce myself briefly. I was on a Conservation Commission for a long time. I can't quite even remember when, maybe 2000 to 2008, and participated with the SEEP. And I know a lot of you all. It's great to see you. Anyway, yeah, I'm a retired teacher, and so that's what it's about. Okay. So the Ashland Solar Cooperative. So we're looking to make member-owned community solar projects. All right, we want to dramatically increase access to solar power. And as you know, the city is behind in their goal to do 10% by 2020. I think we're below 5% now. So there's definitely more we can do. And hopefully we'll get a lot more done. And we're trying to do it in a socially and economically responsible fashion. Okay. I'm going to try not to skip any slides. Last time I skipped a slide. Okay. So the history, I just wanted to know that this commission is definitely connected to the history. So your commission, I was there when that happened, and James McGinnis worked to get the SEEP process happening, and the SEEP got adopted. I was there with most of you, it seems, 33 meetings. And then out of that, Stu got hired, which is awesome. And then one of the first things Stu did is that he got the virtual net metering policy adopted by City Council. So that was a big thing. And so about 2 years later, because of that policy, people were thinking about how to do community solar, how to take solar and move it around. And so the Ashland Solar Co-op was founded by Brad Rupp, Jeff Sharp, and Thomas Endicott. Okay, I gotta just do one thing here for a second. Okay, all right, and okay, and then let's see, fall 2020, the ASC board evolved and expanded, and our activity got more intense. You can see from these trackers here that these are the trackers of Science Works, and there were many meetings there. And at some of those meetings, I connected with Jeff Sharp. He invited me to be on the board. And then I invited some others and started facilitating. And we started meeting every 2 weeks and really going crazy on that. And also some of the other people that just got involved, Bob Kaplan, Lori Kaplan worked on our identity report, a nice large report. Louise Shawcott got involved. Sean, whose name I can't remember right now. Sean was our president. Sean Franks, yes, right. Great solar salesman. And around November 2020, we started working on the airport projects. So Bob Kaplan and I started negotiating with the Airport Commission and thinking about how we could make this happen. And you can see with the blue region and the purple are two different systems that would be about 200 kW projects. And then in December 2020, one of our board members, Thomas Endicott, was the developer that made the oak tank and steel project happen. It needed to happen by the end of the year before some things went away, some good benefits. And so Thomas made that happen. And the significance of that, this is the picture of that on the right. And so Thomas was able, this was meant to be a community solar project, but we weren't ready to make that happen yet. So Thomas was able to put the pieces together, make it happen, and have the Ashland Food Co-op buy it and receive or pay for the whole project and take all the power. So that was 1/3 of their power. And it's just really fortunate for us as an organization to have someone like Thomas on our board that knows that stuff. Okay, and then we've been looking for financial model, trying to make it work, struggling, and finally we were able to find a model that worked without grants. So that was in January 2021. And then March 2021, we started working with Solarized Rogue. Solarized Rogue, it turns out, is doing something very similar to us. And so they shared a lot of great information with us. And then a big wonderful thing that happened in August 2021 is that we received a $10,000 forgivable development loan from Bonneville Environmental Foundation. So by that, what I mean is that we have 2 years to develop a big project. And if for some reason we can't get our act together, we don't develop the project, then we don't have to pay the loan back. And so this also allows us to afford lawyers that are quite expensive. Okay. All right. And okay, so who can participate in ASC? So anyone that pays an Ashland Electric bill. Okay, so you must be in Ashland Electric territory. We're hoping to get renters involved, businesses, residents that roofs aren't right for solar. Like you can see, this person has too much shade on their roof. There's a renter and there's a business. And also we're going to be contributing 10% of all the electricity generated to low-income households for free. And they're going to be chosen by a lottery. Okay. All right. So the investment, how good is the investment? So I have a picture of a baseball diamond here because these are ballpark estimates because we're looking 25 years in the future. And as you guys know, with climate change, things could change dramatically in the next 25 years. So for my position, I get 11,000 kilowatt hours per year. So if I bought into this project and took advantage of it, I would need to invest 10,900. Okay, and that's after a 26% tax credit. Anyway, the net that I would be investing is 10,900, and I could potentially save 28,800 over 25 years. And that assumes like a 3% rate of inflation, which right now is less than that, or more than that, excuse me, and assumes a 3% rate of power inflation as well, and 0.5% panel degradation. And so this would pay for itself in about 12 years. Is the idea. Okay. And the cool thing about our system is if for some reason you leave town or you want to get out, you want your money back, you can sell the residual value of your panels or of your fraction that to somebody else. We believe that there'll be people in the wings waiting to buy these because over time power is going to get more expensive, but our power that we put into place is going to be at a set price, maybe around 7.5 cents a kilowatt hour, I believe. There is going to be a minimum buy-in. And that's going to be 2,700, and that's going to produce about 230 kilowatt hours per month. So if somebody, say, has natural gas for heat or has a small house, doesn't have that much power, they can still take advantage of this. And we're trying not to make this too low so the city doesn't have too many small accounts. So the city billing department is working with us and doing extra work on our behalf. And part of that negotiation is to make sure we don't have lots of really tiny accounts of, say, maybe 20 people getting, only 50 kilowatt hours a month. So we want to avoid that so they don't have too much work. Okay. And the annualized return on investment would be roughly about 4% in this case. Okay. So I think you're familiar with how the virtual net metering ordinance works, but I'm just going to share this for maybe those that don't. So each month, a large fraction of our solar array is credited to different accounts in kilowatt hours. And over on the right is a picture of actually the ScienceWorks, the first 3 ScienceWorks trackers, and they have all this power. Brad Roop was the one that funded that, and that also was going to be community solar, but it wasn't in place in time, so he devoted it to his different properties and I think his daughter's house as well, and his house. And so all of these different percentages of those 3 trackers go these different directions every month, and so forth. And the idea is when you get these kilowatt hours, it's going to dramatically lower your monthly electric bill. In the summer, it's likely you're going to have more than enough solar to cover all your usage. So you'll just pay the meter fee, for example. Any electricity banked by any extra electricity is going to be put in the carryover for future months, and you'll slowly use that up over the winter. And then March 31st, the city is going to cancel out all the carryover and pay you a wholesale rate for that. So that's generally how that works. Okay, so things that we've accomplished this year, I kind of mentioned some of these. We have a good financial model. We have billing agreements with the city. Stu was kind enough to meet with us for 3 times, and Jerry Giardina an additional time. So we pretty much have an understanding of how we're going to work together. We've got a solid roof lease template. So Thomas has produced a nice lease for both the ScienceWorks project and the large project Oak Tank and Steel that's going to be the foundation of what we use for future leases. So we have to borrow somebody's lease. In fact, for this airport project, just for example, the number that we're going to be floating with them is that for each of those 2 projects, the airport would get $3,000 a year for us to rent space on their lease, on their roof. That's the lease. And then we've got a solid fractional owner contract with key elements. So basically people that buy sections of these are going to have a contract they're going to sign. We have a good lawyer that's experienced with community solar. And I talked about the loan we have. And then our negotiations are moving right along with the airport. We're going to have a roof inspection tomorrow. We've pretty much agreed that we're not going to make it more expensive for them to repair their roofs. What I mean by that is if there's a leak, we're going to take off the panels for free. Okay. And if we're going to lose power, of course, when the panels are off, and then when we put them back on, that'll be another expense. So the airport will not have to pay for any of that. If the leak is because of us, we will pay to fix the leak. If it's determined that the leak is just a natural thing, the airport would have had to pay for it anyway, then they would pay for it. Yeah, so anyway, that's looking really promising, but it does have to go to the FAA. And I'll also mention, to make this project move forward with the airport, we had to do a glare study. So that's where when the pilots are flying into the airport, that the sun doesn't bounce off of the solar panels and blind the pilot. You can just kind of tell mathematically that's impossible because these are east of the runway. So it's just, not possible at all. But anyway, it has to be done by the FAA. And so we went through that. And so all of this agreements and so forth with the city is going to be sent by the FAA. And that's the Federal Aviation Administration. And they want to make sure that this is a good financial arrangement for the airport. Okay, so they're going to be checking on the lease to make sure it's a good deal. Okay. All right, you might wonder what else we're looking at. Now, these are sites that have great roofs that we think people are going to be up for it. So Mistletoe Storage has got more than enough. We are limited to 199 kilowatts AC. And so that could be, this probably could do like 400 or 500, but we're just going to use a small part of that if we can. And then this is the independent printing company central building. Bimart is just over to the side here. So we have been in contact with them and we're going to be pursuing that further. By the way, I just mentioned too with this, we spent about 20 hours analyzing host sites, getting ready to develop sales pitches, reaching out to them. And then we realized, wait, we don't have a financial model, so we're not quite ready, but we're just about ready to get into that. Okay. All right, so our team, I already mentioned Thomas Endicott. Pete Jorgensen is our treasurer. He's a retired civil engineer. He's very comfortable with our financial model and our fractional owner contract. He's done a lot of construction management as an engineer, which is good because we're going to be, building large solar systems, I hope. Louise Shawcott, you guys know her. She has a lot of fire and a lot of connections, great addition to our team. And of course, Brian is great to get his help as well, Brian Soul. A lot of common sense and so forth. And Marnie has helped us with a lot of outreach materials, like our logo she made, and it's really helping out with communication. And it's great to have her on our team as well.
And low income.
What's that?
And low income.
And low income. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brian. Yeah. We want to definitely have the low income voice on our board. That's important. And then other volunteers, Bob Kaplan is an economics background who was on our board and helped me develop our financial plan. Mike Wright's got a business background, has been very active with us lately. It's been wonderful. Jim Tully helps with sales. David Spinney has assisted us with website design in the past. Jeff Sharp has been great. And of course, he's the one who invented these trackers right here. Lloyd Kaplan did our identity report, 33 pages. Sean Franks provided a lot of great leadership early on. And Brad Roop, been right at the very beginning of the whole Ashland Solar Co-op thing. And he shared all of his billing data with us, which was super helpful in terms of us, figuring out how to work with the city. Okay. All right. And then we've collaborated a lot with Solarize Rogue. So we're trying to do the same basic thing, the same basic financial model. Ray Sanchez Pescador has generously shared his group's financial calculations with us, all of his spreadsheets, like what he pays for the lease and everything. They had a 12-page panel owner contract they shared with us. I've myself bought into his system because I'm just out. I do not participate with Ashland Electric. I'm just outside of the service area. So I was able to buy 17 panels of Ray's system. So I've gotten to know that system extremely well. And we're trying to also help Solarize Rogue. For example, this diagram right here, Marnie made this beautiful diagram, and that was actually lent to Solarize Rogue when we gave a presentation for SOCAN just last October 26th. And so that's just kind of explains how community solar works. So you can just see that it's not that you're going to get these exact panels when you join a system, but you'll get a percent. Like, for example, Dave and Ann might have 8.3% of a system. A local business might have 12% of the system. Someone might have as little as 1.2% of the system. That's how that would go. So also we've shared the lease market rate with Solarize Rogue. Ray was just wondering, exactly what we charge for our lease, what we're thinking about. We've helped them find host sites, sales strategies. We've shared our lease template with them, which is a very good lease. And we've also shared technical expertise. And if you're given a roof with a slant, the directions it's facing, how much solar energy can you get out of it? So we basically shared a good estimator of that. Okay, so it's been great working with them. Of course, we do very similar things together. We all have to develop sites. We have to get leases. We have to get insurance riders for the PV system. We have to choose and pay an installer. And around year 13, we're going to replace the inverters. And we need to find fractional owners and explain the contract to them. So get people to sign up for it. And I'll also mention with Solarize Rogue, they have a system already built. It's 140 kilowatts DC. And the cool thing about their system is when they first did it, they're the first one in the state that's where people own pieces of it. It's not a subscriber system. They were hoping to get I think it was just 25 kilowatt hours, okay, of power basically, 25 kilowatts, and their stretch goal was 60. And in only 30 days, they were able to fill up the entire roof, use up all the space they had that they were given in talent, and they got up to 140. So we really believe there's people that want to sign up for this. We just need to basically take care of liability and get all ready for that. And we're trying to do that. Okay. All right. Differences. One thing is that Ashland Electric, of course, is just in Ashland itself, whereas Solarize Rogue has got working with a giant utility, Pacific Power, and this is just one small region that they have. They also have regions upstate. We're going to be giving output percentages in kilowatt hours to all of our fractional owners. Okay, they're not going to get like a dollar credit, like $30 or $50 or whatever. Solarize Rogue, on the other hand, like I participate with them. And when that gets online, hopefully this month, that there'll be a credit on my bill for maybe like $65 worth of solar energy. And that's going to be determined by the kilowatt hours and a rate of 9.77 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay. So we have our website and people can contact me if they're interested. You can see my email there is jimhartmancc@gmail.com. And you can text me as well. And we've got a nice website, ashland-solar.coop, that you can reach out to us on. Okay. And I just want to share one more thing before I take on questions, is that there's been mailers in people's mailers given out about you can do community solar right now. And I just want to say what that system is about. Basically, you become a subscriber. So, and it only works for Pacific Power, is my understanding. Stu, help me out if they're going to allow this within the city of Ashland, but I don't believe they are. But what happens is you enlist in the system and you save 5% on your electric bill. So you don't have to do anything except say, yes, I want to do this. And I think actually if you sign up with Arcadia, they give you a $100 Amazon gift card. Anyway, so for me personally, if I got that 5% discount with my usage of 11,000 kilowatt hours per year, over 25 years, I would save $2,000, assuming a 3% inflation rate in the cost of power. Now, if I got that same power from the Ashland Solar Co-op, what would happen is I'd have to invest $10,930. Okay, and then over 25 years, my net savings is going to be 17,870. So that is, over, let's see, it's almost 9 times more than I would save. But Thomas just pointed out this today in our meeting, Tom Sandicott. Well, you should make more money because you're having to take a risk and invest that money for 25 years. And just to compare, another investment would be a CD. You can see that you invest about $11,000 in a CD and you can make $8,200 over 25 years. So I guess the other thing I want to say about our system, what's cool about it is the people that make the money are like middle-class people that can invest a little money. Whereas when you look at this system where you're saving 5%, there's some big tax equity investor going in there. They've got tons of passive income. They would have lots of taxes, but they don't have to pay their taxes because they're investing in this system. And so we think that this is a lot more equitable in general. Okay, and that's it. So that's it. Any questions? Yeah, Brian.
Thanks so much, Jim. One thing, just so people know, the Solarized Road program or project, I don't think you mentioned, it's in Talent. It's on the Shakespeare building where they store their sets at the corner of East Rapp Road and Talent Avenue. It's a huge roof. And they've been very helpful with our program. But my question is, obviously you're going after kind of small consumer homeowners, like people like me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, is there the potential for big projects like, Stu, does the city of Ashland pay Ashland Electric Utility for their utility use? And could, for instance, the city of Ashland be somebody that the Ashland Solar Co-op could work with, or through the bond issues with the Ashland School District? Is the school district a potential partner that we, if we're looking at big partners that the solar co-op could work with, or is it really going to be more geared towards smaller homeowners and smaller business owners?
Well, I can't speak for the school district, but I know that the city of Ashland can't be financially involved in any community solar because of state rules. So we can promote it, we can make policies for it, but we can't spend any money there. And besides, we pay a very cheap wholesale electric rate. So the city's not the best. I think city's more of an enabler for this kind of project, but not so much a recipient.
Okay.
If I could just comment, there are some large users like the Ashland Food Co-op. They would like to be 100% solar energy, and they're like 1/3 solar energy now. So if we get that big airport project, it's possible they would have a big hunk of each of those two pieces. And we're thinking about limiting the size of any entity that could take part of a system would be 40%. So it's possible that the Ashland Solar Co-op might have 40% of each of those two big projects at the airport.
And what about, you worked, I think, on the bond issue, thinking of green green issues. Is there any potential with the Ashland School District in this?
Well, they're actually, I've talked to Steve Mitchell a while ago about this, and they're hoping to get their own solar panels on their roof, but we definitely could approach them. There would be no harm in doing that. Right. And also just say that when Ray Sanchez Pescador is promoting his system, he says, look, I put panels on my own roof, and I also bought into the system at Talent, the community solar system, because I needed more energy. And from his own experience, he says that it's like half the cost it's to participate in community solar than to put up your own solar panels. Okay, so it's basically going to be cheaper than putting panels on your own roof. So it might be attractive to the school district.
I saw questions from James and then Risa.
Hey, and Jim, great presentation. I really appreciate the work all of you are doing on this. I'm curious about, maybe this is partly where the city can chime in as well, Stu, where a lot of your projections for cost are based on retail rates being paid back by the city for the solar, right? Because it's going into their system and they're crediting retail rates, right? As opposed to Pacific Power, who credits wholesale rates.
Okay, James, if I could just correct you, we don't get any rate at all. We dish out kilowatt hours.
Right. And the city absorbs it, right? And then the city gives out credit to those who have bought into it.
No, it's like, for example, if I get 200 kilowatt hours from this program just in one particular month, then instead of having to pay for, like, imagine my usage is 600, I would, subtract 200 from that. So my bill would look like I'm using 400 kilowatt hours of power.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we're on the same page with that.
Okay.
So it gets me curious about my solar panels on my house. I qualify for solar. I have the sweet spot of 6 panels that I got years ago. I have room for more panels, and you're saying that it would be cheaper for me to invest in community solar than to put more panels on my roof. Is that correct?
Right.
And if I do that, if I were to participate in community solar and put up solar panels on my roof via community solar, how would that work for me?
Oh, it's not that when we do a community solar project, it's a very large system. Gosh, like almost maybe 13,000 square feet. Okay, so it's a massive system. It's not like we're really looking at making a large system just for the economy of scale. Does that make sense?
So you can't divvy it up among houses and all.
No, it wouldn't be like we'd be buying all these panels and then, we put some on your house and some on someone else's house and so on. We're looking for very large roofs, and also we're interested in large ground surfaces as well.
But the bottom line is it's cheaper for me to invest in community solar than it is to have the panels put on my own house, because I paid for mine. Mine paid off in like 4.5 years.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'm just
saying that this is what Ray Pescador Sanchez was sharing just last October 26th. Okay. But that's cool that yours paid for yourself that quickly.
Well, it was because of all the tax credits and all that were given at the time as well. So
okay.
Yeah. Risa, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually I have 4 questions. Jim, I've been really excited for the evolution of this project. And so congratulations to you and all the people all the members of our community that are making community solar happen. Super, super great. I have 4 questions. One is something that I had heard about and on a public radio program this past weekend about utilizing the shade from photovoltaics to help with extreme heat situations, to deal with the intense heat and the ability to grow food. And I don't know if that's something that y'all have thought about, or maybe you might want to consider that could provide new opportunities in the future, just as another angle for solarizing our area.
Right, that'd be exciting to get that happening. And there's a lot of parking lots are super hot. So if we put like Jeff Sharp's trackers in a parking lot, that would provide a lot of shade in the summer, which would be great. On the other hand, in the wintertime, when you want that sunshine, you're kind of craving it, you might be kind of bummed out that, oh, there's no sunshine. But I think we need to focus on adaptation and surviving the summer. Winters are going to pretty much take care of themselves. Yeah.
Well, there's projects that have been happening utilizing solar as shade to grow crops better. So that's not, of course, the idea of shading our parking lots would be great. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out into your mix. The other question that came up while I was listening to your presentation is what considerations you all have for fire danger with, if that's something that you all think about or talk about or to consider a site, just given, the Alameda fire realities.
Right. Well, it's interesting that the big building in Talent that has this giant system for solarized road, that just barely avoided being burned down.
Yeah.
Because the other side of the road, everything was toast. But when we have a system, we're going to be paying insurance every year, and most insurance covers fire. Okay, now that might change over time, or it might be more expensive, but there would be a rider on top of the host site to pay for that. I'm thinking, this hasn't been really looked at, but Jeff Sharp's Strackers, because they're high up off the ground, that those actually might survive fire much better than like a ground mount system that's really right on the ground with hot grass burning around it, perhaps. But then another issue that's kind of challenging is smoke. We're looking at how will smoke decrease the PV output, and it's really complicated because clouds have a bigger impact, it seems, than smoke itself. Smoke is going to affect mostly the month of August and maybe July, September, not so much because the sun is so low anyway. So we're just looking for what that's going to be like. But, again, this system that we have, it's really not a huge moneymaker. It's gonna make you some money, but we're hoping that people can handle the risk of the smoke. But the whole idea is everyone will put their money up ahead of time and share in that risk. Yeah.
Great. My question has to do with whether or not there's a cap in a person's ability to participate in the program. If they already have solar on their home system and they would like to invest to support it, and I can talk to you about it offline, but that is a question that comes to mind about that.
Yeah, it might be that we could take investments from people, the idea that it would be devoted toward low-income housing or households, okay? So that if you did want to contribute, we could take all that money, and instead of giving 10% to low-income households, we might be able to go up to 15 or 20%. But the cap has to do, Risa, in terms of, like, you might be meeting 70% of all your needs right now, okay? And so you could maybe add another 25% or 30%, right, to max out. And if that was above our cap of 230 kilowatt hours per month, then you'd be good. But the thing to keep in mind is if for some reason you do some new energy efficiency things at your house, so you no longer are using all that energy, then you're going to have a big carryover, and you're just going to get paid wholesale rate for that at the end of March. So in other words, if you have a lot of extra, it's basically going to mean you're not going to make, it's not going to be such a good financial deal for you. That's all.
Great. And my last question is, how can the CCOC support what y'all are doing?
Yeah, well, I think you guys are about outreach. So when we actually have a system and a lease involved, then you definitely can help spread the word. Right now, we're under these challenging negotiations with the lawyer to try to set up a structure that manages liability. And by that, I mean, just in the crazy business world, if there's any chance that something could happen wrong in one of our systems that could lead to loss of life for somebody or lead to loss of property or start a fire or whatever, that we want to make sure that is contained and that one system doesn't affect another system. So once we get that in place, then we're going to be looking for host sites. So if you happen to know somebody with a very large roof or a great amount of ground, like about 1.5 acres or so, that might want to have a solar system on their roof, That would be great. And the best roofs that we find are metal roofs. So we want to have a roof that's not going to need much repair for like 25 years. And so, yeah, getting help with host sites would be great.
Do the host sites have to be in city limits?
They do.
And Larry, did you have a question?
I had
I
a,
think, I think Bex was first.
Okay, Bex.
thanks Larry, thanks Marnie. Hi Jim, it's really good to hear the presentation. I'm the sustainability manager here at Southern Oregon University. And recently we've had a number of solar projects that have been funded in different ways. So we do look at innovatively funding them. We're interested in the data for projects for students to work on. We've got power purchase agreements with the student body. We've had private investment from for the last 3 strackers that you'll probably be aware of. And we're exploring all other opportunities in terms of more solar on all our roofs, and then also in the future for climate change adaptation, having seen it in many other cities that are facing the same increasing heat with the car park shading. What I'm interested in is, so from the point of view, the question you asked Stu, so we're state funded too, and the question you asked Stu was the other way round, but there is potential that we could work together on this because we do have the roof space, and it's not that we're using it to offset our energy, which I think is more related to the question you asked Stu. It's more that we would be in a partnership providing that roof space all
Right. You'd provide a roof space, we would give you a lease, and we, work that all out. And then the panels on top of a roof in SOU, a large roof, that could be fractioned out to, maybe 30 homes.
Okay,
So-
I definitely, yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I think to find out more in terms of how that could work as a partnership would be interesting for us as well.
Great. Okay, I'll send you a follow-up email and we'll discuss that. Wonderful.
All right, Larry.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions. The first one is, what is the impact of the city of Ashland's contract with Bonneville in terms of ultimate capacity for solar co-op installations? I know there's some sort of global cap for Ashland that there can't be more than so many megawatts of solar, but that contract is going to be up for renegotiation. I just wonder about that whole piece.
Yeah, so it does hamper us really that, we like that mistletoe storage site that I showed you, that could hold a really large site, but we can only do 199 kilowatts AC per transformer. Okay, and there's 1 transformer out there. If we had to put in another transformer, I believe it'd be like another $25,000. But we've got this whole electrical grid that we want to tie into, and so there've been some constraints there. It'd be nice if there wasn't any limits and somehow they could work it out. And even at the airport, the city has got the go-ahead to do 1 large system, one megawatt system, and they might set that up at the airport in addition to what we're doing. And if they do that, they'd have to create some extra larger wires to take all the electricity from the airport to other parts of the city. So there's some adjustments that have to be done. Now, my understanding is that our bit wouldn't need to require that, but I'm just saying if you do very large systems, there's some adjustments in the grid that can be extra expensive.
So it seems like that's a focus that the city electric department needs to kind of be looking into the future and saying how can we accommodate more solar generation, or is that like a thing?
Yeah, it'd be nice if they were, if there weren't such strict rules, if they could just kind of work with us and try to make things happen one way or the other.
Well, I'm sure it's all about, cost, but I know that's an issue. So my other question is, it seems like that people can participate as investors, that there's benefit through the lottery for low-income folks. But is there any other way? Let's say somebody, doesn't have the low-income need and they want to participate, but they don't have the capital to shell out $2,700 or whatever for a fractional share. Is there a way they can buy in over time?
Right. It might be that Marnie could help with this one, but there's going to be some money that you can borrow at 1% interest. and it, for conservation measures at home. And we're kind of hoping that that money might be able to be used to participate in this program.
So that's something that's coming through the infrastructure?
No, this is something that,
else?
I don't know if Stu wants to talk about this. Or anybody?
Which fund?
Yeah, it's like that. You got $70 million for conservation measures. It's a revolving loan fund, I believe.
Oh, yeah, it's not $7 million.
Okay.
The revolving loan fund that the city has is not a true revolving loan. We've looked into doing that, and we need to hire a new finance director and a city manager before any kind of talks can happen about changing procedure. But in any event, the fund that we have right now is for the small energy conservation loan that we currently offer. It's up to $7,500, 0 interest, but that's in lieu of incentives. So that's funded by sort of a recurring line item. I don't know if that answers your question.
Isn't there a new pot of money that just got approved by city council that there's going to be a program that there are loans given out for only 1% interest?
If there is, I haven't been advised.
Huh. I know that just went to city council like 2 or 3 months ago, or maybe or just in the last recently.
Yeah, what happened to because Stu, you brought it up a couple times with us that there was the money that was going to be available.
Oh, yeah. So that's the RESP loan. Maybe that's what you're thinking of. We haven't gotten that loan yet. It hasn't been approved.
Is it going to happen?
Don't know.
Okay. And how much is that one if it does go through?
It would be 10 million. I'm not
Okay.
sure if it would be used, if it could be used for community solar or not.
Got it.
I don't know.
Okay.
But, I did just also want to add, I'm on the co-op board, the Ashland Food Co-op board, and, we've been very pleased with, I've sort of followed through the discussion process about whether we should make the investment, and we made the decision to make what's really a pretty large investment, but we were in a position to do it. And so far, the co-op is very pleased with the results because it really is supplying it's probably even more than the anticipated amount of power. And there's the goal of the co-op to be, totally self-sufficient in terms of generating our power. We're even looking at, some storage options and things, but especially this whole notion of being able to use the net metering to take advantage of roof space in another location has just really panned out very well for us.
So we are running out of time, but I really want to thank Jim for coming and presenting this to us. And it's just a really exciting thing that's happening for Ashland. And I know it's taken so much work on your part, Jim, but I have a feeling once it's ready to go, there's going to be so much demand. So it's very exciting to hear about this. And anything that we can do to support these efforts, we'll just continue to communicate about that. Risa?
Maybe, Jim, at some point when you're ready, you could write an article for the sneak preview, our monthly.
That is on our agenda, so we will talk about that.
I think I've got an article that's due on December 6th, so that's going to happen.
Oh,
But I was going to
yeah.
check with the group first to make sure that's okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, to make sure it's good, yeah, okay.
I'm sure it
Anyway, I
will.
just want to say thank you, and again, the commission really made this happen. Was right. If the commission hadn't been there, we wouldn't be here, and I appreciate your continued support, and thanks for this time.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
All right. So we have the reports and presentations coming up next. The rest of them, I should say. And Tanya's not here, but I wonder, Stu, if you would want to give us a quick council update, if there's anything that we need to be updated on.
I'm sorry to say that I would not be the one to give you a council update.
Okay.
I do know that our new commissioner was not appointed last night.
Okay.
So that's the only council update I can offer.
Was it not on the agenda, or it just didn't pass a vote?
It was on the agenda and the mayor pulled it. And I don't know anything else about it.
Okay, I'll check in on that.
Yeah, the video wasn't posted this morning because I was gonna look, but it will be soon.
Okay. Would you like to give us a staff update?
Oh, that I would love to do.
Okay.
So of course, as always, if you have a question about something in particular, do let me know. But one of the main things that's kind of coming in front here is the home energy score proposal. That's going to be going in front of Policy Commission tomorrow for a second look. We're going to have a presentation from Oregon Department of Energy and Earth Advantage about their experiences with the home energy score. So that should be interesting. I'm hopeful that that policy will go in front of council early next year, but we may have to do some extra engagement on it. So it just depends. So that's one major thing that's been going on. I'm also looking still at having this electric vehicle car share program. So we're still trying to work out the final details of that, but hopefully that will land early next year as well, which would be pretty cool because everybody who's a utility customer can have a free ride in the electric car for a couple of hours. So that that's already been actually the first couple of cars in this project have already been deployed in Central Oregon. So it's been cool to see cars finally starting to hit the ground. A couple other things that I've been working on because Policy Commission is working on them is something called the Carbon Note, which is basically asking City Council to set aside a space in the agenda to look at climate issues in the same way they set aside a space in the agenda to look at financial issues. So that's one policy. Another is potential changes to city procurement to stop purchasing fossil equipment. And then the last one is a more generalized outline of how Ashland can move away from fossil methane. And so that's the least developed of the four, but kind of a couple of different things to keep an eye on. Do y'all have any questions about anything?
Teresa has a question.
Yeah, I am unfamiliar with the first thing that you mentioned. I can't even remember something, it says health or whatever that.
Home energy score?
Yeah, can you just like say 3 sentences about it?
Sure, yeah. So the home energy score was developed by the US Department of Energy as a way to compare credibly and accurately and scientifically different single family homes for their energy performance capabilities. So it's basically an assessment of the actual house. What kind of walls, what kind of ceilings, what kind of insulation, what kind of water heater, and all that gets crunched into a numeric score, which is 1 through 10. 10 is the best, most efficient home that you can buy right now, and 1 is the least. So it's kind of an evolving scale, but there's a variety of cities up in the Willamette Valley that have already adopted this as a mandatory requirement. So essentially what would happen if you want to put your single family house on the market, you'd have to get an energy score for that building, and that would be listed alongside with your house. So just like when you go to buy a vehicle and you look at the miles per gallon sticker, this is that for houses.
Kind of like LEED for residential.
Kind of, but it's more, it's a rating. So, and
it's an evaluation of a home.
Yeah, I mean, it basically tells you how energy efficient the structure is.
Okay, so we have to move ahead quickly. We can take some questions, but they have to be really fast. And I saw Larry's hand and Brian's hand and then James.
So two-part question. Where are we at with making it so we won't have more natural gas being put in homes beyond now? In other words, changing building requirements and not putting in gas. And secondly, I guess kind of related to that, is there anything in the offing in terms of building requirements, building code, strengthening that might enhance new building in Ashland?
Yes. Okay, so the first question, Policy Commission is trying to map out some different options for the future of fossil gas. It's not clear what's going to happen yet. So that's about as much as I can say there. As far as the building codes, I've been working with a group of other cities and organizations for the last couple of years to try to get a modification in the REACH code that we have in Oregon. Long story short, we would be able, if this legislation passes, we would be able to adopt the next higher up residential code as our base code. So we would be kind of one step ahead of the rest of the state. And so any city that wanted to do that could do that. That was last session, HB 2398, and it almost got through, but didn't. And so we're hoping next round it will.
Well, keep us posted so we can chime in, with
Sure.
the legislature.
Thank you.
Brian?
So you mentioned something about like fossil fuel decisions regarding the city. I'm not exactly sure what you meant, but I'm wondering, like, for instance, at this point, the police department has these huge SUVs that drive around the town, and if they need new vehicles, are they coming to you, or is there any kind of effort to look at greener vehicles for the city fleet?
Yes, absolutely. There's already admin policies in place for fleet and equipment as well as buildings. But the problem, admin policies are pretty soft, and we haven't had a permanent admin in years. So I think they're a good starting point. What the Policy Commission would be asking for is for the city to put in the municipal code its commitment to not purchase more fossil water heaters and space heaters. So it's pretty narrow in its suggestion, but it's an important step.
All right. James, did you have a question? No, we have to move on.
Yep, I do.
Okay.
Is it, if I want my house to be evaluated, could there be an energy score given to my house when it sells now?
Yeah, you would be required to get one in order to put it on the market.
And the city doesn't do that.
No,
Doesn't
the
support
city wouldn't do that. It's possible that the city might step in for low income folks. But because it's mostly single family, I mean, it is essentially single family homes only. It's a pretty small amount of people. So maybe the city could do something, but it's not clear that there is a need yet.
And in the energy score, is my PV and solar hot water included in that energy score?
Yes. The other cool thing about the energy score is it gives the homeowner a list of suggested upgrades that would move your score, 3 points or 2 points, depending. So it's a very good educational tool. It costs about $125 to have somebody come and do this.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Stu. That was really helpful. So we're going to have a quick SOU update and then a quick Recology update. Bex.
Thanks, Marnie. So just a few things. We have a new president starting on the 15th of January. Dr. Rick Bailey was appointed this month. And so we're going through preparations of President Schott's farewell and for the incoming president. So recognizing everything that's been achieved in President Schott's time through the strategic plan and really putting sustainability at the heart of the university, and then also welcoming a new president and seeing where we can take sustainability under the new president. We have a survey going out. It was a project between a student that works for me and so the SOU Sustainability Office, and then SOCAN Ashland Climate Project. We've been working closely with Laurie Kaplan. So we're excited that this survey is due to go out very soon. It's about the implementation of SEEP, and it focuses on buildings and energy. We're just finalizing how we're going to get it out to as many people across the community as possible. We're trying to go through channels that reach the masses and the groups. So we haven't gone to the typical climate change groups, because actually we don't want climate change advocacy necessarily to complete the survey, because if that's all that completes the survey, we've got really skewed results and it's not representative of Ashland. So we're trying to look at different mechanisms of going out. So we're likely to go out with an advert in the sneak preview. We were looking at the city source, but have been advised it's not official business, and also the city source isn't going out this month. So we're looking at different ways that maybe we could, because it is supporting the implementation of SEEP, and a range of people involved in the city have commented on the survey, so it could possibly go that way, but the timing might not work out since we're not going to have a city source. My ask would be to please email me. Don't need to discuss it here, but email me if you have contacts with any other groups, such as through churches, through civic groups, anything like that, that aren't necessarily environmental or climate change focused, where you could highlight or promote the survey. And then please just email me as an individual. That would be my request. And then finally, a big chunk of SOU's focus at the moment is going to be our STARS reporting, which happens every 3 years, and that's our national sustainability credentials. So we're currently a silver campus, and so that's going to be due in the new year. So I'm working with students, staff, faculty across campus, and this covers everything from our engagement, our planning and administration, our academic, and our operations. So it's all encompassing. It's significant, but it's not just a report. It also identifies gaps in terms of where you can improve in your sustainability. And it can also help in terms of identify improvements in what you're doing for your sustainability, and make connections with other universities and other parts of the community in what you're doing. So it's a very, I would say, a very well-run reporting. Most universities and colleges are part of it across the United States, but we are due, so that's a huge part of my work at the moment.
Great, thank you for that update. So if anyone has other questions, I'm going to ask you to just email them to Bex, and we're going to move on to Jamie. Thank you, Bex.
I'll be quick. This Sunday is the first of 2 leaf drop events in Ashland at Valley View Transfer Station. Different location than years past. It's not at the recycle center. It's at the transfer station. That helps us honor social distancing and safety issues. And then if you can't bring all your leaves this Sunday, you have another opportunity December 12th. Same location, Valley View Transfer Station, and both of those dates are going to run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Great. Any questions, Anya?
Yeah, I was just wondering, would it be helpful for me to start doing Ashland School District reports? Like, is that something I should start doing, or do we not need to do that? I'm not sure how much I have to report, but
yeah, let's talk about that a little bit later, separately. You and I can figure that out, but we'll have to find an avenue for you to report back to the school district, and if there's things that you need to share with us. So
okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, thank you so much for both of those. We're going to move on to business, and so I thought it would be helpful to review our agreements and time commitments. We're going to wait a little bit on having our actual official kind of goal setting, because we are having new commissioners come on and Brian's leaving, and so it just made sense to wait until things settle a tiny bit more, even though I'm getting a little antsy to do that. But I think in order to keep us working together smoothly right now, it'd be nice to talk a bit about how we work together. I received a bunch of emails in the last month that were rude. They were rude, and they were kind of disrespectful. and it made me feel bad. And I mean, I'm a volunteer. I was asked to serve in this capacity, and I don't really need that kind of communication, and I'm expecting better from this group. And I've been chair before, and I've never had anything like that. So I'm just asking people to watch themselves. I'm not here to like receive whatever negative feelings you have on what's going on. We're a group working together as a team. And I would just like to ask folks to be their best selves, to remember that we're all trying to implement action on climate change. That's why we're here. And we're all professionals. So I think that's my first kind of ask as far as how we treat each other and then how we work together more as a team. So I wanted to start with that. And sorry, it made me a little angry. I kind of thought about quitting for a little bit, and I thought, okay, we'll get through this. But I know women aren't allowed to be angry, but it made me feel angry because I don't really deserve that kind of communication. So I included in our packet, and maybe you guys can access this through the link, the review of agreements that Elizabeth worked up for us in a previous meeting. Let me bring that up. So we have some agreements that we all made together, and those include participating on subcommittees, being on time to our meetings, active listening. So really, when others are speaking, especially even I think in the subcommittees, this is really important. When others are speaking, you're really listening and giving feedback as far as understanding each other. You're trying to understand rather than trying to be heard, if that makes sense. Raising your hand to speak. So there's just one voice at a time, which actually on Zoom, that's been actually really much easier than it has been in the past. And I really appreciate that. That is fine to disagree. It's like we disagree all the time on things. And actually, I think that makes us stronger, that we have these big goals. We have different ideas of how to get there. We have different values, but we all have respect for each other. And so it's fine to disagree, but it doesn't mean we treat each other with disrespect over disagreements. And that we try and stay on topic. We move certain topics outside of the meeting as necessary. So in order to keep things moving, when something else comes up, it's fine to bring it up and to kind of sideline it, but talk about it separately. We can either do that in smaller groups, or we can add it to an agenda for a future meeting. That's also creating the topic bin for later discussions. We come prepared, so we've read the minutes and we've read the notes and we've read the articles. Taking responsibility for creating the commission that we want to have. So we're all here to create action on climate change and now to do outreach now that our commission has shifted its focus. That's what we're here for. So we can do that. We're all responsible for making that happen, not really the chair or the vice chair. We want to support our relationship with the city to make sure that we're working together with the city as much as possible. And that there's just kind of mutual support in that way, and keeping an open mind. So these are some things that we worked up in the past. I just wanted to bring those back to folks. And I want to ask if people have feedback on kind of these, and if there's anything you want to add at this time, and about how we work together, and also how we become effective as a commission. So if there are other agreements folks would like to add, I just want to go around and see if anyone has any feedback there. Yeah, James.
So two meetings ago, we had a presentation that I would have, we talked about it last meeting, where there was some real, what I would consider egregious activity going on from the presenter. And last month, I suggested that we screen the people that are going to be talking to be able to adopt our standards.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if I'm just kind of looking back at this agreement again and see if there's, yeah.
So we
It's,
can add, sorry to interrupt.
it's not explicit in here, but it's about respect. And agreeing, it's okay to disagree, but there's a certain element of respect that we pay to each other in the process of participating, whether it's as a speaker or as a commission member. So that would be one thing that I think would be valuable to add in.
Thank you. And we do have that list from last time that we put together. And I can kind of combine those as well. That might be helpful. And yeah, Brian. You're muted, Brian.
I think one thing that I need to do, and I think all of us need to do, and I think Marnie pointed this out to me, is that and it should probably be on this list, is that we're careful about our involvement in social media. I was critical of a council member and the mayor after a council meeting on Nextdoor recently. And, we need those folks as our allies. I think it's important how we, what we say. We're representing the city and the community. And I think it's important that we have opinions, but we just be real careful about how we voice them on social media. It can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. I think there were comments, even comments about my comments that I didn't take well, that I don't think were intended to say, for instance, that my comments were sexist, but other people reading those thought they were about me. And I just think that we all have to be really careful, me in particular, about when we're on a commission representing the city, about the things that we post on social media, where it be Nextdoor or Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Thank you for that. Anya?
Yeah, I think like being aware of how much space you're kind of taking up in the group. And so just taking notice if you have been talking a lot, sometimes other people need a little bit more room to be able to participate. And so just making sure that you are giving other people space to participate as well. And then of course, if you have something to say, saying that, but just being intentional about how much room you're taking up.
Thank you. That's great. Bex, yeah.
Yeah, I really support the comments made so far, and I just wanted to highlight James's comment on respect. I think for me, this definitely, unfortunately, is something that I think we might have to highlight right now, and it does go two ways. And I think we're suddenly in a place, and I've noticed it recently. I'm not talking days, I'm talking like years or months and years, where we seem to, and I don't experience this in my daily job at all, but in some areas and exchange, we're jumping to the worst and we're not appreciating everything that everyone on this meeting has going on elsewhere in their professional and personal life. And I think that comes down to the respect one. And I think that would help us be more cohesive as a team if we had some appreciation of that. And for me, that definitely goes two ways, which is a founding thing of respect and respecting other perspectives.
Reset.
Yeah, I want to say that I support the conversation that has come, before from each of you, and I'm on board with what you all are saying. And I just feel like our commission is at a crossroad. I mean, I think everyone that's alive and breathing is at a crossroad, and that I would like to get clarity as a commissioner on this commission. How we intend as an entity to move forward and facilitate and support the charge that we have been given as servants of our city, to forward the Climate Energy Action Plan through our efforts, which have been clarified as we are outreach people, we are educators, we are communicators, trying to figure out the best and most diverse ways that we can share critical information with our community at this time. And that's all that I'm going to say at this moment. I have more to say about it, but I feel like that's sort of just eating away at me with some frustration and fog with what we're doing, how we're doing it, and really not so much about yesterday, but who we are right now and how it is that we want to move forward. And the best way that we can do that is to figure out a way together. And those of us that are hearing different callings or feel like, it's not really what I want to do, I just say, thank you for your service. And maybe, there's another place for you to help to support our city with the important work that we all need to be doing.
Thank you for that. It does feel like we've shifted into a primarily outreach focus. And so those of us that don't want to do outreach, this isn't any longer the right place for us. So we really need to each, I think about that, of how much we're willing to step into that role, even if it's something new for us. And the first agreement on our list was participate on subcommittees. And so I just really want to reemphasize that. There's work to be done there every single month. And there's different types of commissioners. So many of you represent an organization. And I would say those folks are already doing all of that work in their work. And, when they can participate on our subcommittees and get more done just on this commission, that's great. And yet I think there's a lot more responsibility for that for the rest of us, that we stepped onto this commission as volunteers, not as a representative to share information across groups. And so those of us that aren't representatives, I think really need to make sure that we're doing what this commission is supposed to be doing. Otherwise, it's just a group that gathers and reports to each other every month without actually getting the action done that needs to happen. So just, I think that's a little bit where I am as far as that first agreement that we've made in the past, but then really focusing on this now specific to outreach. That's what we're doing. And how can we really become more effective at doing that? So, Risa, was there anything else you wanted to add around that same topic? I know you and I discussed it before. I just wanted to make sure that we heard.
I don't know.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. I guess another reminder is that commissioners need to be here, I think at least 75% of the time. So if you miss more than 3 meetings, then I realize we're all busy, but we also have to make it to the meetings. So please keep track of your absences and know when you're going over as far as the number of meetings that are missed. Okay. Well, thank you for reviewing those with me. I will add the pieces around respect and the discussion that we had last time that was kind of specific to the speakers, but I think a lot of it actually also fits on this list too. So we can combine those 2 lists and use those as some guiding principles moving forward. Okay. So we have our reports of our subgroups. And does subgroup number 1 have anything that they want to report? I didn't receive anything to fit in the packet, so I'm just asking. Okay. Subgroup number 2, so I can report that unless Risa or Anya want to report that one.
I'll chime in, but
okay. So subgroup number 2, and I guess I'll just re-emphasize the subgroups, they can change, everyone's in charge of making their subgroup what they need it to be. I just threw some together that made sense to get us moving. And right now we have subgroup number 1, which hopefully will move forward with electric vehicle outreach, with natural gas and induction stove outreach. And subgroup number 2 has been talking about all different ways that this group can do outreach. So we can do radio, we can do art, we can do social media. And we talked last week, so it was Risa and Anya and I, and we talked about starting a storytelling effort where we collect climate voices or stories from people about what they do in their lives to save energy or to be sustainable, or it can cover all different topics. But we want to make it personal. We want people to be able to see the potential for themselves in these stories, that they can also be taking actions that make their lives better in so many other ways. We pulled Mark Yaconelli in, so he's going to meet with our group coming up, and he actually has a team of story collectors as well, so it could actually turn into a fairly large thing. But we were hoping to even start with the commissioners here, that we tell each other our stories and that we can then write those up and we can use those to out in the community, so they could go in the sneak preview, they could go on the radio. There's all different ways that we can use the stories just to give a face to conservation and a face to the Climate and Energy Action Plan. Yeah, Risa.
well, just to throw in that, part of the inspiration for this idea was Bridget, because that was one of the things that she wanted to accomplish but was unable to. And so we're trying to pick that ball up, because it's a good idea to get the voices of our community and utilize it as a way to inspire people to activate.
Yeah, so we just have a list of kind of what we want to achieve with the storytelling, and those are on the notes. You can look those over. And then we have a preliminary list of questions, but Mark Yaconelli is going to help us refine that list. Definitely reduce the list so we only have a few key questions. And then we're also going to work to help Stu with any sort of social media posts. And we've been putting together kind of a database to put those in. So that's what group number 2 worked on in this last month. Group number 3, I think, is still being worked out as far as what it's called and maybe what it wants to focus on, and maybe in the either December or in the new year, group number 3 can start to move forward on more of an educational kind of general climate outreach effort. And so those are the updates. And was there anything else you guys wanted to add, Risa?
Well, it occurs to me that if some of us are involved with doing stuff in between meetings and others of us are not, at some point, either I mean, that's confusing to me if people volunteer to be in different groups, and if there's no activity, then I feel like we need to review that. I mean, if, you know, I don't want to wait 3 months and not have any plan or action. It makes it, what it does for me is makes me question whether or not that's the best path. Or do you know what I mean? I mean, because really what we want to be doing, if all we're doing is coming to the meeting and sitting in our chair, you know, month after month, we're not going to be accomplishing what council has directed us to do. So, you know, maybe it's too soon to jump to any conclusions or to change anything at this moment, but I'm just asking that question just out of curiosity.
Yes, thank you. That's a very valid question. And Bex has her hand up. Bex.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Brian, so Brian, chime in or disagree with me, agree with me. But at the last meeting, we didn't see or have, I think it was a cross between bandwidth or where we were at. We didn't see that we were going to meet on subgroup 3 because we've just had the short 3-week thing. I've got a focus now that I need to prioritize with some other work. So I think for subgroup 3, yeah, there is definitely around the awareness on SEEP. I like seeing how the other subgroups evolve to see where I can, with a further subgroup, support them or enhance with this subgroup. But with Brian's departure now and where I'm at, I think we can just, I'm actually quite comfortable just having it sit there. There's some other priorities for the other subgroup to focus on. So yeah, I am comfortable with that right now for where I'm at.
I think that makes sense right now. Brian?
You're on mute, Brian.
Oh.
I think, Risa, maybe what I heard you say is that everybody needs to pitch in and be involved. And I think there are some things here that don't show up in the subcommittees. For instance, I've been meeting representing this group twice a month with this collection of other commissions.
Yeah.
Which, you know, as I'm leaving, you guys need to figure out a vice person for this group, and somebody from this group, I think, should be involved with that committee of commissions to help facilitate, you know, understanding what the Transportation Commission and the CPC are doing, and that will be a job that requires, you know, significant hours and energy by somebody.
Yeah, and I think actually we need to move on to those items and also the sneak preview because we only have 20 more minutes. So I appreciate this discussion and a lot of really important points have come up. I don't know that we can keep having this discussion right now. I would like to do the goal setting soon. So as soon as we get hopefully Kate on board, but I'll find out what's going on with her appointment. Or actually, Tanya, you just joined us. Do you know why Kate's appointment was pulled from the last meeting?
Yes, because Mayor Akins wasn't sure that the question about at the Ashland School District had been answered and whether there was an open position. But I did get Risa's, she forwarded the message on from you. I think somehow I didn't get your original message on the 10th.
Oh,
and so Risa sent that today, and I forwarded it on to the mayor and asked that it be put on for the next message, the next agenda. So I think you're close. She was on the list for last night.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so are we ready to move on? Risa?
Well, I was just gonna say for Bex, it might be that Kate Kennedy, if she gets on board, you know, she may love to that third subgroup and
Yeah.
there'd be new energy, you know.
Yes, I think having some new members will be great for
I-
really getting
I
some things going.
also want to really support what Brian's just said as well about that the subgroups is not the only work going on here. And
Yes.
so to just focus on that is a little bit tunnel
Yeah,
vision.
no, we're not
I
just
think-
focusing on
yeah.
that.
I think
No.
we have to appreciate everything going on here because Brian's been putting in an awful lot that I've
Yeah.
heard about through that other coordination group.
And actually,
there's a
planning
number
all
of
those
other
meetings.
climate discussions going on too. So I think, yeah.
So can we make space for that in, you know, at each meeting so that we have a fuller grasp on, you know, what our members are doing? Can we just add that? Because, you know,
Yeah.
I agree.
no, it was on here. I'm not sure why. It was on the last, it's been on the last few agendas of the report back from the cross commission group, which Brian's been attending, which has been great. That's really important. And yeah, so no, sorry, it was not intended to say that those subgroups are the only thing that members are doing. That is, we need to be doing actual outreach, and that was kind of the avenue that we're doing it, but there's so much more to keeping the commission moving and creating the relationships that we need and everything else. All of that's important. So okay, we need to move forward. I'm just going to run out of time. We have the sneak preview articles. So there's the one, thank you, Bex and Risa, that that you guys got out so fast, which was awesome. So that one's for January. And does anyone want to make a motion around that article or have feedback for Bex and Risa on that one?
I read it and I liked it.
I move that we adopt I read it and I liked it, and I move that we approve the letter, the article.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Brian seconds. Okay, any
I just
discussion?
wanted to, I just wanted to thank you guys for doing that article and also say that I really like that format of highlighting in bold the categories, because sometimes when it's just words with nothing highlighted, you know, people don't. So I like that part of it especially, and I thought it was good information.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yay. Yeah, and that's something to remember for the rest of us as we move forward too, is ways that we can really make them more accessible to folks. So thank you for that. Okay, all in favor? All opposed? All right, article is passed. We have coming up, I asked Jim Hartman if he would be interested in writing the article for February, but I wanted to come back and check and see if that was okay with other folks here. The other option is that we could get back to kind of the youth voice at some point, but it has a pretty short turnaround deadline because our meetings sooner for December. So the article would be due December 6th for the packet. So how do other people feel about having it on the Ashland Solar Cooperative, Risa?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, okay. Yeah,
Sounds great.
okay. So
I have a question about it.
yeah, great.
I just think, I think it's a great idea, but I also think that we really do need to review it carefully because it's, you know, it's kind of our communication corner. So to be sure that we get it on time and get it before the meeting.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, so we should have plenty of time to review it before the next meeting. And I can't remember if we have to vote on that. Sorry.
James has his hand up.
Oh, James, sorry.
Yeah, I'm back here somewhere. Okay.
You're in a little box.
I'm in a little box. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like that a lot. So I would like to propose that for April, we go back to the discussion about doing a joint Climate Policy Commission and CCOC article. And just really bring people up to date about what the two commissions do, and perhaps include a broader scope of other commissions and the roles that would help for us to talk about the roles that all commissions are wanting to take or needing to take around climate action and supporting the seed. So I'd be happy to work with whoever it is over on the Climate Policy Commission side to put together an article for that.
Okay. Does anybody have any feedback, input? Risa?
Well, when Anya is ready, I'd like to give her priority. And, you know, but I also think, you know, hearing from the CPC, you know, that could also, you know, maybe we could talk about it at another meeting to get more clarity on what the vision is.
Okay. So we have the joint CPC CCOC article, and then we have kind of the youth voice on climate change article. And we can build out this timeline further, which we should do. So we can add May on there and figure out which one we want to go first. So Anya, if you're still interested in writing that, again, you don't have to do it. There's not, but we would love to have that voice. And I feel like it's something that our community would appreciate. And I'm also happy to help, you know, as far as just helping, you know, I think it should be written by you, but I'm happy to help kind of with, you know, creating an outline and organization or something like that, if that would be helpful. Okay.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Okay.
I think this fall just ended up getting very, very busy, but
Yeah.
I'm still happy to do it, and I'll have some time as soon as winter break comes around. So.
Okay, so we have two articles lined up, one that'll be in the packet in February and another one that'll be in the packet in March. Do you guys each have a preference for those between James, the one you suggested, and Anya, the youth voice one? Is there a good month for you to have that ready, I guess, for?
Just to clarify, for the one for February, would that be the one that would be due December 6th?
No, so sorry, I'm just talking about the due dates. So there's one that's going to be due in February that we haven't lined up yet, and one that's going to be due in March that we haven't lined up yet. Or it could still be further out too. We can.
I'm good with either of those, whatever James would rather do.
Okay.
So it seems, Anya, that you have time over the break, you said, and the article doesn't look like it's due until March 5th, is that correct? And therefore we have to have it approved in February, right? Does that give you enough time? It seems like good timing for you to be able to put together an article for the break rather than wait until after the break and have to put together an article. I mean, you could do it either way, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
happy to do the February one.
Okay, so, all right.
Okay, I'm going to put youth climate voices, or if someone has a different name for it, that's fine. For April's article, which is due in the February packet. Okay. And then I'm going to put James's CPC, CCOC after that. And I think that's good because it breaks up the commission ones, because there's the Wildfire Safety Commission. And then that way people get a break from commission stuff and then they get to come back to it. So that'll be May. Does that make sense? Okay. And Brian, sorry, yes.
Just one sentence for Jamie. The Wildfire Safety Commission Chair, Stephen Gagney, is planning on that one for March, and they were meeting today to decide on who was going to write it and what it was going to be about. So the contact person for that is Stefan Gagne who's the chair of the Wildfire and Safety Commission.
Thank you.
Okay, Jamie, do you have everything you need for
Yeah, I think so.
that? Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yep. All right, well, that's great. We have a nice little lineup, so that feels good. Wrap up. So items to be added to the future agenda. So part of wrap up is, first of all, does someone want to take over as vice chair when Brian leaves? And second of all, what was the other thing? Oh, and does someone want to serve on the cross commission group? And I'm happy to do it if nobody wants to.
I'm willing to serve as a vice chair, but I don't want to be on. I can't take on another thing
Okay.
besides just general vice chair duties.
Okay.
If the commission approves
Bex.
that.
So I have a question, Brian, regarding the,
Bex had her hand up. One sec.
I'm sorry. I thought I had my hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Just on your questions, Marnie, is this to discuss in the future agenda, or do you want us to answer these?
No, I
now?
was hoping we could vote on these now,
Okay.
if that's okay. Because future agenda, then we won't have a vice chair. Because
I put a motion forward for, I'm terrible at motions. I will put a motion forward for Risa to be vice chair.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, all opposed? All right, well, that was easy. Thank you, Risa. Risa's been kind of the co-vice chair for a while just by default, so that's been nice. So I think we'll continue to work well together. And the cross commission group that Lori Kaplan's leading, I'm happy to take over for you, Brian, unless somebody else really wants that role. James?
That was my question, Brian, that how much time is involved in that?
Well, currently about every other week meetings, and then quite honestly, they're still kind of feeling their way as to who's going to be involved. Unfortunately, the planning commission chair has declined to be involved at this point, which is, I think, difficult, but they're going to try and work on that. December 2nd, there will be a meeting involving a variety of commissions. They were all pretty much invited, including the Social Equity Commission, but they're still struggling with getting a chair and figuring out what they're about, so they probably won't be there. But it's probably an hour-and-a-half meeting twice a month. And my thought is that it would be good for probably whoever does it, for instance, to maybe start attending or watching the recorded meetings of the CPC, or at least kind of really knowing what's going on. They historically have wanted a chair or vice chair to do it. And I don't know if, how the rest of the folks will feel. It's led by somebody who's not on a commission, Lori Kaplan, right now.
That helps.
I do know that they are very, very much, and we had a meeting with that group yesterday, and I announced that I'm leaving, and they very, very much, I'm leaving CCOC. They very, very much want someone from CCOC to be on it.
How about if I attend the next meeting, and James, I'm happy to talk about it with you more. We can even talk to Lori Kaplan about it if you want more information, and then we can decide by the next meeting. Does that make sense? That'll give us a little continuity for now.
Well, I have I
Yeah.
have another suggestion. It is
Okay.
possibly going to be either of you. Could you both attend? And
Yes, I think we both can.
that's even a suggestion.
Yeah, and Marnie and I did that for a period of time.
Yeah. It's actually nice having two people because then you have a little bit of backup too. So
Yeah, if one person's not there, the other person is.
I just made, yeah, I was just thinking for the initial one to see who was the most
yeah,
interested,
thank you.
appropriate to attend.
Okay, that sounds great. And James, you and I can talk about it more and just make sure we're on the same page. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. As far as the next meeting, there's some items that we want to make sure go on the agenda. I just wanted to see if anyone else has anything else. We're going to talk about the North Mountain Park opportunity for outreach that Risa's invited Libby Van Wy to join us for that. And she's going to, you want to tell us about Risa?
Well, I work with Libby Van Wy, who's the manager of North Mountain Park. I serve on the Parks Commission, RDAC. I can't remember how you spell it or what it means, but something. But what she would like to do is to get 20 minutes of our time, 10 minutes to present, 10 minutes for questions. And she'd just like to talk to us about what it is North Mountain Park does, the overview, and what they have to offer us in terms of our outreach needs, because they have the parks classes reach out thing that happens, and they have already a registration system, community marketing, and all that stuff. So I'm asking you all if I can. I told her that I couldn't invite her without your approval. I feel like she meets our criteria for a presenter, educator with experience, working with the public, and she's very excited to share with us and see how North Mountain Park can help to support us and we can support them.
That sounds great. Does anyone have any feedback? And can we go ahead and make a motion to have her come and speak?
Are y'all okay with it?
I can motion to have her come and speak.
I second that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Discussion, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, great, thank you. I did have a request from Larry to have further discussion of the sewage issue. I know that's been kind of moved past at the council level. I wanted to see if that's still something this commission wants to spend time on.
If I could comment on that, what I really want to talk about is water conservation. And
You want to talk about water conservation?
That's a real opportunity for climate action, and it's an important thing for the city of Ashland. It does relate to the sewage thing, but that's kind of gone now. But I think that there's I would really like to be able to take a little bit of time to bring people up to speed on some of the water conservation issues, and as they involve greenhouse gas emissions and just the cost and availability of water for Ashland.
I'd be interested. I think that's a good idea for this commission too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you want that on the next agenda, or do you want to wait till you feel like you have something more solid that you want to bring to us?
I have really lots of solid stuff, so
okay,
that would be great. I mean, I just think we could have a discussion, and I'll try and share a little bit of background information enough in advance, so maybe something could be in the agenda.
I'm hoping it's liquid stuff, Larry, liquid stuff.
Liquid, yes.
Okay, okay, great. I'll put that on for next time. And then on the doodle poll that I sent out, there was no one that could make a January extended meeting, which is fine. So we're not going to do any sort of extra goal setting after the next meeting. We'll just have a regular meeting. But because we're not able to extend out a Wednesday meeting, it means that maybe we'd have to go for like a Saturday or something, which is really not how I was hoping to spend a Saturday. But I guess I just wanted to get a little bit of feedback. Is there any idea of how we have a goal setting meeting without extending out one of these meetings. Bex, yeah.
Can we split it and not go for a Saturday? Like do another 3 to 5 on a Wednesday, or another 3 to 5 on another day, anything. Yeah, I would prefer that. The idea
Okay.
of also, if it does end up being in Zoom in an extended meeting,
Mhm.
I spend an awful lot of my time on Zoom and I think I
Yeah.
might expire.
Yeah.
So so I
Okay.
wouldn't mind it breaking, like the idea that it has to be extended to me isn't 100%. And I don't think just because it's not extended, it has to be on a Saturday.
Okay. We can try for a different day of the week. I'll just send out another poll to everyone and see what day of the week would work for that.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's it.
Good. I was going to say, I'm going to have to go.
Thank you so much. And,
Bye, everybody.
All right. Yeah.
Bye, thanks. See you
Bye.
around,
Everyone.
Brian.
Okay. Take care.